Hello and welcome to another episode of 310 to Left, brought to you by your Newly Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 49 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Glad you could join us. Adam Pellerin reunited with Lenny DiNardo. What's up, Lenny? How are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? Nice to see you.
It's good to see you too, buddy. I think we have a couple of pre- and post-game shows on the horizon in the month of August, so I look forward to working with you there. Love working with you here, and I love talking about the Red Sox who just can't lose. It's unbelievable. They did it again last night, 4-0, just pounding on a Chicago White Sox team, Lenny. That's first place in the AL Central, and they have disintegrated first place teams over the last month and a half. It's been unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, it's been, 6 straight series wins against teams that are tops in their division. And there's all kinds of stats thrown out there. You know, it's this number of wins, this number of losses on this date. But my favorite one is the 30-5 since Durbin Pinky Day, which we call June 25th. The next day, he popped it back in place. He was in the lineup. You can see it right there. Hit a home run to tie the ball game against the New York Yankees in Fenway Park. I mean, this team is unbelievable. All the accolades we've talked about over the past month and a half, going on more. It's been fun to watch. They've been pitching all year. The bats have come alive. They've homered in a season high 9 straight games. Where was that earlier in the season? You know, better late than never. But I tell you what, it's been so fun to watch. The 9th consecutive series. 2 more consecutive series, and you're going to go ahead and tie a record that was set in 1912 for the Boston Red Sox. So it's what can you say about this team other than it's been an incredible run? They want to win the World Series. They're not looking at the wild card. They're not looking at anything other than getting that trophy back to Boston.
Yeah, there are. It's real. I've never seen anything like this. You know, I just, you're racking your brain and you're thinking back, and again, having grown up here and seeing all the success in this century for, all the teams and some of the accomplishments, right? And you think back to, 2004, obviously, and what that team was able to do, but they were always in it. You guys were always in it, and the incredible comeback against the Yankees in the playoffs. The playoffs are a whole different animal, but in terms of regular season success, and I think about the Patriots as well, and what they did in the regular season, obviously, 16-0 and nearly running the table in a heartbreaking fashion, losing in the Super Bowl. And then I think about the Bruins season a few years ago, which was the best regular season of any team in National Hockey League history. And then the Celtics, I mean, again, with the new big three and KG and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, and they got up to a 27-2 start to the season in KG's second year there. But the difference between those teams and this Red Sox team is the fact that they were 14 games under 500. They were 32-46. People had them dead and buried. Everybody had them, not everybody. Maybe some people thought that they might make a run, but not like this, not a historic one. And the fact that, they were 15 and a half games back on June 24th of the Yankees, and they're just a game back going into play tonight. Unreal.
People were coming to Fenway Park with bags over their heads. The standard bags you get at the grocery store, cutting holes. It was a statement saying they're done with this team. They were yelling, "Sell the team" chants every night when they were going bad. And now it's like, you look into 2014, right? The idiots. That's kind of, we were idiots back then. We went around, scrappy team, gritty. 2007, they were like, I don't know, the Terminator. It was a really good club. Right. They were very precise. They had a bunch of guys that were more buttoned up than we were a few years prior. 2013, you're talking Beards, you're talking Boston Strong, you're talking the city and the team coming together, rallying after the marathon bombing. 2018, you're talking talent. You're talking about a bunch of guys that band together, super, super talented club that went out and just had an historic run throughout the season, right? So much talent in that club. This team, I mean, what are we going to call them? It's like Rocky or something. They're bouncing back off the mat. I think that right now, if they were to go on a run and win the World Series, it would just be resilience. You want to make a T-shirt? Resilience. That's the number one word that I can go out and describe this club, because they did not give up. They made adjustments. It's been it was rough early, but you brought in a bunch of guys that were tired of riding buses. To be frank, they didn't want to be in the minor leagues anymore. A bunch of role player guys that you wouldn't think were going to be, everyday big league ball players. Monasterio, Sogard, Siegler, Chang. All these guys helped out guys that were veterans like Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray. Duran's going in. He's gotten hot. Cedon's having an unbelievable year. Willie Abreu is coming around 20 home runs now. So all these guys have gone out and contributed in many different ways on the field, in the clubhouse. That mentality resonates throughout Boston, and I've never seen a bounce back like this in my entire life.
I know impossible dream is taken, but there's got to be a name for this team if they're able to run the table and bring a championship home. And obviously Chad Tracy, and he's been a huge part of it. And it's just remarkable, not only the losing record, but the fact that, they dismissed the entire coaching staff and the manager in April, and they were able to, and again, not right away. This all started in June. And in fact, I mentioned the Yankees. How about Cam Schlittler's comments, right? To The Athletic. And you think back to those, he's talking about Red Sox fans. They're not really in a position to be talking, considering, how, how the standings are, which is funny, right? Think about it now.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to say, It's just kind of useless. It just goes in one ear and out the other. That quote was July 16th. And of course, Schlittler has the start at Fenway Park. He pitches okay, but the Yankees end up losing. And that's really what kicked things off. Again, 15 and a half games back at that point in June. And again, July 16th, going into the second half of the year, the Red Sox had won 9 straight games, Lenny, but they were still under 500. And there were still doubts. And there were doubts because of the fact that, this team has not come out of the gates firing historically in the second half of the year. And that, I think, is really one of the huge differences between this year's edition and some of the iterations that we had seen prior, is that they're 16-3. 16-3, best in baseball in the second half of the year. We're not talking about a cupcake schedule either. Right out of the gate, you get the American League best and the Tampa Bay Rays. You got 2 more AL East opponents on that homestand. You finish that homestand 8-2. You go out on the road, you take care of business against the A's, but then you get the Dodgers. You get the Dodgers line, the best team in baseball, and you sweep them aside. And then you get the White Sox again, who had been playing okay. They were 12-7 since that series loss to the Red Sox. They were 9-7 in the second half, and they had beat the Rays in a series. They were playing okay. they've been outscored 18-2 in the first 2 games.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about it, is they're not just winning against teams that deserve to go out and lose, poor teams that just have not been winning. They're beating teams in the AL East, in their division. They're beating, quote unquote, the best teams in baseball on both coasts. That Dodgers series, the Dodgers probably woke up the next day and were like, what happened? The number of home runs, the Dodgers would go out and score, and then boom, 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 boom. Then they're back behind. It's like, whoa, what just happened? It's unbelievable. And the Dodgers, I can't remember if it was game 2 or 3, but there was a situation late in the game, 9th inning, where they had runners on first and third, and instead of playing the whole infield in, they played double play depth. Red Sox go out and score a run. They turn a double play. We get a run. We're ahead by 1 run. And it spoke to, all right, the Dodgers think that they're going to just concede that run, and they're going to go out and do what they've been doing all throughout the year is, you guys scored a run, you went ahead, but our offense is going to go out there and put 3 or 4 up on the board. Guess what? Not with the Red Sox bullpen. Not with Slayton. Not with Chapman. Not with Whitlock. Not with Guerrero. Not with Miller now. Just another great piece from the left side throwing 97 miles an hour. A hoss out there. Yeah. So, it's been a statement all year round. Not all year round, all month long, almost 2 months long. Williers had a lot to do with his resurgence with the pop. It's incredible. And it's not only the pop, though. They've been getting it done with dropping bunts down. Like Sedon the other day, after coming out of that series, going off with home runs, he faked the bunt. He's got to lay it down if it was a good pitch. The last guy you would think of in a situation laying a bunt now was the guy just hitting bombs left and right. But you know what?
Right.
That's what this team does. They drop down bunts if the game calls for it. They understand that the wins that the Red Sox bring to the table every day are more important than the at bat, than their individual accomplishments. And I feel like that's kind of what the turnaround has been for this team mentally. Take the win.
Yeah, it has. And to your point, Lenny, they're tied for the most home runs in baseball with the Atlanta Braves in the second half of the year. They have 31 home runs. We saw the ball leave the yard, last night, obviously, Willie Abreu. He's been on fire. But again, you're right about the small ball. They've been doing everything. Everything. They're tied for the second most bunt hits in baseball in the second half of the year, and tied for the most sack bunts. Tied for second in sacrifice bunts. So they've been doing, the little things. And again, one of the runs they scored last night, and Jarren Duran, I think maybe the month of August we could see the Jarren Duran that we've seen in years past, because he's off to a great start. His OPS is over 1,300 now, but he gets the base hit. He advances, and he scores on a sac fly to shallow left. And so again, manufacturing runs, but also hitting the long ball. I mean, it's just incredible. But the other thing too, Lenny, that you mentioned, and you mentioned the bullpen. We talk about the Red Sox dominance last night, or in the series and over the White Sox in general, because they have dominated them. I think they've outscored them 33-4. 5 games, which is just crazy. But this was a game. This was a 2-0 game. When Sonny Gray left, and the bullpen had to be called upon to shut the door, and you don't even worry. You don't even worry, because it's just like the arms that they have at the back end. And obviously, Tyron Guerrero has been an incredible find. And then you get Whitlock in, and he's lights out. He takes care of business. And then you don't have to go to Chapman. Fortunately, in that 9th inning, Moran was able to get the job done. But that bullpen's got a 1.44 ERA in the second half of the year. It's insane what they have done. And to your point, they loaded up, and they got Miller at the deadline.
Yeah. I mean, you look at previous seasons and you're thinking, okay, our starters got to give us 6. If they can give us 7, then we're in the driver's seat. Now it's like, all right, give us 5. If you can give us 6, our bullpen can get a little bit of rest here and there. But give us a solid 5. And this is a Red Sox rotation that's been really good throughout this year. But let's face it, Tolley and Bennett, these are young pitchers that are hitting benchmarks as far as innings pitched. They're kind of in no man's land. So it's nice to be able to say, okay, we're going to limit their pitch count. We're going to take care of these young arms, because we know we can fill 6, 7, 8, and 9 if they go ahead and give us 5 innings. If they give us 6 straight, they keep the pitch count down, perfect. But it's not a must-have as far as these guys getting deep in the game, because they're so deep in the bullpen. We've got more than 2, 3 arms back there that are high-leverage guys. So guys are able to get rests, strategic rests. We've got lefties, we've got righties, we got guys at the 96 to 103 with not only fastballs, Chapman slider, Chapman split, Guerrero throwing a split and a slider, locating extremely. He's the best in baseball as far as locating and throwing fastballs. What a change, because the last time he pitched in the big leagues, it was the complete opposite. So I feel like Guerrero being on the same team with Chapman, 2 hard throwers, 2 guys that have, in the past struggled with throwing strikes. They've got this mentality. It's aim small, miss small. They're in the zone consistently. They're trusting their stuff. And there's a lot of intent inside the strike zone. And the sky's the limit when you've got those arms with that type of mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that we talk about how good the Red Sox have been in the second half of the year, and we had talked about the fact that the starting pitching had been carrying them at times. The offense wasn't there, the defense was there, the pitching staff as a whole, but starting pitching in particular. Last night, Sonny Gray's, 6 innings, he didn't allow a run, right? And it's good to see him bounce back, by the way, after allowing, some runs in his prior 2 outings. But that was only the 5th quality start for Red Sox pitching in the second half. It's because they've obviously been swinging it, but they've been able to rely on that bullpen and again, loading up and getting Miller and taking some of the pressure off some of those guys, I think is just absolutely huge moving forward. But, just to sort of switch gears a little bit, and you talk about mentality. Well, the team's mentality isn't just like, hey, we want to compete for a playoff spot anymore. It's we want to make a deep run in the postseason, and that's exactly what Anthony Siegler said in his conversation with Nicole Menner last night.
All right, Anthony, let's start with the trade deadline. It came and went on Monday, and Craig Breslow made a few big moves to add to this roster. How much of it is that just a testament to the work that you guys have put in, and how do you feel about the new faces in the clubhouse?
We're all excited. I feel like it really shows that we're trying to push to win the World Series. I saw we're here trying to do take it day by day, win each game, win each series, and then get to the playoffs and make a good push in the playoffs.
How much of a boost do you think Adley can bring you guys once he's healthy?
I think the numbers speak for itself. From a defensive standpoint to offensive too. From both sides of the plate, great swing from both sides, great presence in the box. And like I said, I think we all have great quality at bats, getting people on. And then we got great power in the lineup, and he's just going to add to that and add to great quality at bats and add to great power. So we're really excited, and he's just going to be a great addition to this team.
And we'll talk about some of those new additions coming up in just a few minutes. But first, Lenny, it's still hasn't settled in. Where the Red Sox are in the standings, what this offense has been able to do over this incredible stretch of a 33-8 play, and however you want to break down the numbers. And Anthony Siegler, again, he gets called up, and he's been a spark plug. He along with Andrew Monasterio, and by the way, you'd have to think Monasterio's play is the reason why the Red Sox maybe didn't push a little bit harder to add a shortstop at the deadline, because he's been getting the job done. You could get Trevor Story back at some point, but between Monasterio and Siegler, and then you add Caleb Durbin, and you mentioned the pinky. What he's done, those three guys in that trade with the Brewers, and Kyle Harrison's having a fine season, Shane Drowan's having a fine season, David Hamilton is carving out a niche in terms of base stealing and doing what he did here in Boston. But it was a no-brainer earlier in the year that the Brewers had won the trade, right? Like, you look at what they had done to that point, right, earlier in the year, in the first couple of months, it's like, oh, the Brewers, they won that trade. But now you don't say that anymore based on what these guys have done.
Yeah, you look at Durbin, the turnaround, people are ready to run that guy out of town. They're like, what are we doing? We definitely lost that trade. But again, I think he's the type of guy, that grit, that wrestler's mentality, who popped his pinky back into place, said, let's get after it, to go out and put a batting glove on, hit a home run the next day, let alone be in the lineup, hit a home run, went out there, that off the mat mentality. That's kind of the turnaround for me. People saw that, said, my goodness, let's jump on his back and follow him, because that's the type of teammate player that you want to follow. Siegler, clutch hitter, rarely gives away at-bats, high baseball IQ, tons of energy. Monasterio, same thing. There's a little bit of a question there defensively. Sometimes it's just inconsistent. Yeah. We'll see him go out and make some great plays, but then he'll go out and he'll make a couple errors in a game. So work in progress. But a doubles machine, the happiest guy in the clubhouse. And the other day, I was doing radio, and during the road trip, we pull a guy aside, a guy that had a great game. We always talk to one guy, right? And we had Monasterio on like every other day, it seemed like. I told him, like, dude, I feel like I've talked to you more than my wife in this week's span. He laughed and said, listen, don't do that, man. But I think you'll understand, dude, because you've been so good for this Red Sox club. We continue to talk to you because he's bringing so much. And Sogard, another guy, switch hitter, brings energy, always puts together good plate appearance, drives the ball the other way, good defender, versatile, can do really anything on the infield. So many guys that have been riding buses early in their season are enjoying their plane trips, are enjoying that big league spread, that chance at getting a ring. And I can appreciate that for sure. It's been fun to watch. I'm sure it's been a blast for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't just count on your stars, right? You can't count on Wilson Contreras all the time. You can't count on Willie Abreu all the time. And those guys, by the way, are still swinging it. So you do need, other guys to step up. And that's been the case. There's no doubt about that. And it's been a lot of fun to watch, and we have a lot more to talk about, including some of the trade deadline additions that Anthony Siegler was talking about, and how this team is now poised to make a run for a postseason spot, and hopefully a deep playoff run, as well as we continue the conversation on 310 to Left, brought to you by New England Ford Dealers and F-Series.
310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford dealers, who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
Welcome back. Time for the Game Plan for Success, presented by Mass Mutual. Scan to learn more about their Grand Slam giveaway. Enter and see the official rules at massmutual.com/Red Sox. As you take a look at the deals that went down at the deadline for the Red Sox, of course, the big addition, Adley Rutschman, acquired from the Baltimore Orioles for a haul of prospects, and also Carlos Narvaez. Got Jake Rogers in that deal as well. Eric Miller. I saw his debut at Fenway Park on Tuesday night against the White Sox. Eli White, got from the Braves, a speedster, some more outfield depth, and then Curtis Mead, who made his Red Sox debut in Sacramento against the A's, unfortunately suffered a wrist fracture, and so waiting to see how long that will keep him on the shelf. Tom Caron, hosting the pregame show on Tuesday before Game 1 of the series, had Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow to talk about the moves.
Yeah, it's easy to start with what he means on the field, and he's an elite, an all-star level catcher. But I think there's a lot more beyond that. He's got this unbelievably impressive pedigree. He's accomplished a ton, but when you're bringing in a catcher into an environment where pitching and defense is kind of a core identity of the team, you have to be mindful of making sure you don't disrupt things that are working. And so we did a ton of work on trying to understand who Adley is as a person, and without question, at every call, we heard about what a great teammate he is, what a great leader he is. And I've had a handful of conversations with him, but watching the way that he enters a room, it's very, very clear to see that. And when you see what some of the folks in Baltimore had to say about his departure, I think you understand the impact that he can have on a clubhouse.
But you get a guy who's on the injured list. How much did that factor into whether or not you do this? And again, going back to the front office team, how much you rely on your medical group to be able to give you guidance here?
Sure. Sometimes kind of going through the medical process is it's kind of cursory, and it's a box that you have to check when you're talking about both a trade with this amount of talent going in and out, and also a trade where one of the players is on the IL. You have to lean on the medical staff, and you have to trust the expertise of our athletic trainers, of our doctors, to get the best advice that we possibly can, and then ultimately you have to make a call.
Moving forward, it's been feeling good. Got to get with the medical staff here and kind of just see what the next steps are moving forward. But it's been feeling good. So I'm going to get with the pitching staff and the pitchers. Just kind of, I'm in the same league, so I've been able to see these guys a couple times. Kind of know their arsenal, and but I'll get with them and make sure that we're dialed in on just kind of like how these guys like to attack, what their plans are, what they like to do.
Kind of it's potentially helpful that you can catch a bunch of bullpens or spend more time than you might otherwise be able to talking with pitchers through sequences, that sort of thing, in the dugout over the initial part of your time here?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and utilize the time as much as possible to be able to get to know these guys and just really understand what works best, how I can best serve them. It's a lot of emotion. Played my entire career there, and been a lot of unbelievable memories, just made a lot of great friends for life, and it's tough goodbyes, but we're on to the next thing, and excited to be here and playing, and it's all part of the game.
What is your outlook, just when you see the moves they made to try to bring you in and make you an X factor in the run this club is trying to make?
Yeah, I mean, playing against them, this team's been extremely hot and been doing a lot of stuff the right way. So excited to fit in where I can and just try and help the team as much as possible.
So I actually have some family ties to Boston. My grandparents were born and raised in Westwood. My mom was born here. I remember coming on trips when I was a young kid. My grandfather would always bring me up here to some games, and so I'm super excited and pumped to be playing for the Red Sox.
What have been your impressions of this club from afar?
Yeah, it's been a fun team to watch. Hottest team in baseball, and seems like the group's really gelling together and playing some really good baseball and look like they're having a lot of fun. So I'm pumped to be a part of this group and get to work with these guys.
All right, so we heard from Craig Breslow and a couple of the new additions, and obviously we saw Eric Miller on the mound for the Red Sox. But, there was really no question, Lenny, going into this deadline. There's been some deadlines in years past, of course, where you're like, are they going to try to buy? Are they going to sell? They're going to do a little bit of both. You really had a good feeling based on how the team was playing that they were going to invest in this ball club, and that's exactly what they did. And they invested big, getting Adley Rutschman. I was thinking, hearing TC's conversation with Craig Breslow and talking about the injury and making a deal for a guy that's on the injured list. Well, shades of 2021, where the Red Sox got Kyle Schwarber, and he came in with a hamstring injury. He missed some time. And then finally made his debut, and he ended up being huge for the Red Sox in their postseason run. So, hopefully you get more of the same with Rutschman.
Yeah, and this time where he's still on the IL, it's valuable, right? We saw the other day in the dugout on the top shelf, him and Sonny talking for inning after inning after inning. You can see Sonny using his hand gestures, talking about pitches and how they dive. I mean, it's just like, this is what I want to do. This is how I go about it. This is from a Red Sox perspective, not coming in and trying to get a hit off me. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to spin the ball. That's what he's saying right there. I'm trying to get depth on this pitch. My curveball, my sweeper's going this way. So very, very, very valuable time for Adley to be on the bench and talk to these guys. I just hope Sonny shares them a little on this team. And Sonny was going over the gauntlet right there. And he does throw a lot of pitches. So and you knew the 14-year veteran was going to take ample time to go out there and try to get him on the same page. But who knew that Eli White's a Duncan guy? I love it. Yeah, with ties to Boston. Yeah.
Good
Sox.
Yeah, kid. Get some dunks, go play some ball, steal some bags, whatever. But it's interesting.
Great additions.
Yeah, great additions, and it's interesting. And Alex Spear had an article on how it's different for a catcher, right? Because obviously, position player, you come over, you got to worry about playing your position out in the field, and certainly just playing at a different ballpark. But for a catcher, obviously, you got to learn the staff, and that's a heavy lift. And you got two catchers who are coming on. In fact, Jake Rogers was traded twice in like a week's time, from Detroit to Baltimore and then Baltimore to Boston. But it was interesting to see what Craig Breslow had to say in this article that Alex had, and talking about what's the impact of the sort of getting to know you process. And Breslow said it's not nothing, but also wouldn't want to overstate it, because these guys are professionals, and the pitchers have thrown to different catchers in years past. But I mean, it's not nothing for sure, because again, in this day and age, the advanced scouting, you have all the numbers you could ever want as a catcher in terms of how you're going to approach a hitter. But at the end of the day, pitchers are going to feel more comfortable throwing certain pitches in certain counts. You have to understand that as a catcher, and also the shape of the pitches, right? Yeah, you've caught curveballs, you've caught, changeups, you've caught, sliders and sweepers. You have an idea of how they're going to move as a catcher, but they might move a little bit differently coming off the arm of somebody else, that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, and part of being a catcher is having that just little bit of instinct For example, if Sonny's on the mound, he's done an outstanding job this year of pivoting, adapting. Something's not working in the first inning. That catcher's kind of gonna have a little telepathy between him and Sonny, saying, "Okay, this pitch isn't working. Doesn't mean it's not gonna work later. Let's pivot to this pitch now. Let's go to something else. Come back to that later." And we've seen Sonny do that throughout this season. That's why, he's been so good. He's able to go out there and give them 5, 6, 7 innings when he doesn't have his best stuff. And the majority of your outings, it's going to be a battle. You're not going to be lights out day in and day out. And a lot of that has to do with the catcher putting down the right fingers, knowing exactly what's going on in Sonny's mind and his mentality throughout the game. And that's why Sonny was talking to him the other day. He's trying to instill what his thought process is on the mound when he's doing things right, when he's on, and when he might have that C-plus game. And every pitcher's going to have that. And you got to be able to know what fingers to put down, but also have conviction, right? As a catcher, your body language behind the plate is extremely important. Oh, 3's not working today? Let's go to 2. Let's go to the cutter, whatever it may be, and put those down and give him one of these every now and then. Or can you see that in front of my face? Yeah. Give him one of these after you throw your pitch. That's telling your pitcher, like, hey, let's go. Get on the same page. Let's have a lot of intent right now versus, and I've had this before, a catcher put down a finger and then kind of look at you like, how about this one? Is this okay? That's the worst feeling on the mound when a catcher does that. It's awful. It's awful. And you're not sure it's the right pitch. And when you're not sure it's the right pitch, it's the absolute wrong pitch. So, yeah, the conversations that are having right now are super valuable. It's not ideal that he's on the IL, but they're using that time wisely. And we've seen what Schwarber did after coming off the IL. Alley's a 20 home run guy, middle of the order bat, switch hitter, game plan guy, defensive catcher, captain type player in the clubhouse. So again, great pickup for the Red Sox at the deadline.
Yeah, third number 1 overall pick to play for the Red Sox. The last was David Price, and then you had Adrian Gonzalez as well. So Rutschman, it's a big deal. 3-time All-Star, good defensively, providing pop. And so we'll see how long it takes him to recover. Speaking of recovery, some news dropped today on Tristan Casas, and it's sort of like, oh, yeah, that's right, because we haven't seen him in so long. Underwent wrist surgery, left wrist, and you can see the timeline of injuries for Casas. He had been rehabbing initially the ruptured patellar tendon, and then he had the abdominal strain would set him back, and then you get the wrist injury and surgery. It's just it's really sad to see. Speaking of former first round picks, this is the situation for Casas, and he's not coming back anytime soon. And you also wonder, it's like, all right, well, could this be the end of the line in terms of his Red Sox career as well? That maybe not, but you have to wonder that too, Lenny.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. You can see the injury history there. It kind of reads like a CVS receipt. All the talent in the world, we've seen, stints where he can go off and have a ton of power in that bat. But, he's got to do everything he can to stay on the field. It just has not been the case so far. What do you say other than kind of out of sight, out of mind at this point? A lot of unknowns as far as, will he wear a Red Sox uniform ever again? Will he, be in the organization? Will he go to Japan and go off and be just an absolute bomb over there? Who knows? We're going to have to see. He's relatively young. He's not like he's not even 30. He's not even close to 30, really. So, right. It's just going to kind of be up to him to go out there and do everything he possibly can when he's healthy to stay on the field.
Yeah, so he's not coming back, but you could get some guys back. And we didn't even talk about those guys. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but, you still have a possibility of Garrett Crochet coming back at some point, although, you're going to start to run out of runway, if he doesn't sort of ramp up soon, you would think, in terms of the regular season anyway, because, he's doing what Chad Tracy described as the infant stages of throwing.
Sure. And if he does, in fact, come back while we're still playing baseball here this season, maybe a reliever. Maybe this is a guy throwing 98 out of the pen.
He's got experience there.
This is a little different arm angle. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Garrett Crochet is the type of guy that, you're not going to give me the ball in the first inning. I'll take it in the 8th. We're going to give one of these other big arm relievers a day off in a key situation. And when you get in a playoff run, it's all hands on deck. Rolls are thrown out the window. You got to do everything you can to win a ball game. So how about getting him back right in the nick of time when they need an arm, maybe even 2, maybe 3 innings, if he's built up to that point coming out of the bullpen. How about Garrett Crochet being your long guy when you need it? Yeah,
Imagine
just
that.
to save the pen. Yeah. So
I mean,
not a bad idea.
well, and you think about that too,
ready.
for Lenny. Just to not to cut you off, but you could have, right, a Crochet at the back end of the bullpen, and you have Bayo as well. I mean, 2 guys are in the starting rotation potentially, being in a bullpen for a playoff, right? I mean, it would just be perfect. I mean, you hope Crochet can come back and obviously be the ace, but like in terms of how the season has gone, in terms of, what we've seen in the turnaround and the like, for lack of a better way to describe it, weird stuff, right? Like the fact that this team was 32-46 and all of a sudden is, the best team in baseball, the way they're playing over the last month and a half.
Yeah.
Crazy to think that.
Yeah, you don't do that unless guys are willing to go out and take one for the team, right? And Crochet's that guy. Bayo's been that guy. Bayo's been the best reliever in the game. He had over a 10 ERA starting. Now it's like .64 coming out of the pen. He's a different guy. The cutter's working. I wanted him to throw that pitch in the trash can earlier in the year. Ditch that thing. Go back to sinker changeup. But the cutter's working now. He's throwing all his pitches for strikes. He's dominating coming out of the bullpen. So he's found his niche. And, I mean, how valuable is that? I mean, you go out and think, okay, we're going to maybe go get an arm at the deadline. And we got Miller. But now, okay, starter gets knocked out in the 4th inning, 3rd inning, which happens every now and then. We got a guy that can go 4, 5 innings in relief and be ready within 2 or 3 days after that to continue and help this club again. So that's extremely valuable. Who could have predicted that at the beginning of the season? Nobody would have. Everybody was kind of done with him, just like they were done with the Sox after the first couple of months of the season. But again, came up off the mat, said, listen, I'm going to help this team in any way that I can. And he's been huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that we did talk about too, that this, the Red Sox, getting better and better. It's in line with how your hair has come in over the course of the season, Lenny, because you had the buzz cut, on opening day, which, by the way, don't do that again based on the way the season started. You cannot do that again. You got to leave the locks, man. Like, you cannot do that. But as the hair is growing back, the Red Sox have piled up wins.
We should definitely do some sort of graphic eventually showing like the buzz cut, the record at the time, and then as it kind of gradually grew in, the Red Sox came back. And I can't do that again. Can't get a haircut that short ever again. It was my fault. I'll wear that for all the Red Sox Nation and just say, listen, if I ever get a buzz cut again, it's going to be in the off season when there's no Sox baseball being played. I'll wait till the World Series is done, and then by the time the game 1 starts, we'll have a full head. So
excellent. Lenny's formal apology right here on 310 to left. We'll have more coming up on the other side. It was a women's celebration game at Fenway Park last night. Emma Tiedemann, Alana Rizzo in the booth, Nicole Menard doing reporting duties and some studio hosting with an all-female production crew as well. And of course, we had a game against the White Sox last night. Last time the Red Sox were in Chicago, Jemai Webster had the opportunity to sit down with Sierra Romero, who is the sister of Red Sox prospect Mikey Romero, to talk about the Athletes Unlimited Softball League.
How much fun for you has it been to be a part of this league?
It's been awesome. I mean, I've been a part of a lot of different leagues and different versions of like professional softball, and I'm really excited and happy that I got to be a part of these last 2 years of the AUSL League. It's been amazing, and I'm excited about the growth for professional softball.
Yeah, so you put in a lot of work, obviously, to get to this point. How would you characterize the goals and aspirations that you set for yourself as opposed to how things are going for you guys right now?
Just the goals for like pro softball and women's sports is just to be covered, kind of like all the other pro athletes are, just to make sure we're taken care of, so that way we can keep continuing with the sport. And we don't just have to stop abruptly and then, have multiple jobs and all the things. And I think we're heading in the right direction. There's always going to be room for improvement, but right now I'm liking where we're going.
You talked about the growth of women's sports, this league as well, in its infancy stages. how significant is it for you to be in this league that's aspiring women who will be coming after you?
It's amazing. I mean, like I said, I've been around when it was still evolving, wasn't quite like sturdy just yet. And I feel like this is the most stable that it's felt. As far as professionalism, this is the most like pro we've felt, you know, just with certain areas, things where it's like if we need improvement here, they're willing to listen, make adjustments. It's all about like just development for the softball players. It's about development for pro softball because I want to still be involved in it. You know, I'm on the board with AUSL, and so for me, it's about how do we keep making this better for the future softball players.
Oh, it's fantastic. Professional Women's Softball League. And yeah, you know, as an athlete, Lenny, and you could certainly speak to this, it's like you work your entire life, childhood, through school and high school and college. And you as a baseball player were good enough, had the opportunity to play professional baseball. You know, those opportunities aren't as prevalent for female softball players. And to have a league like this that's growing and giving players that opportunity to continue their careers at a professional level is fantastic.
It's great. I mean, yeah, think about it. I mean, if you're fortunate enough and talented enough to go out and play college softball and you play all 4 years, you're done at 21, 22 years old. Your athletic career is done. That's a shame. So now with this new league, they're getting the opportunity to go out there and continue with their athletic career. That's what it is, right? This is a professional career, and go out there and play as long as they can, right? And it should be that way. And I love the fact that Mikey Romero, Red Sox prospect, his sister, he has another sister that played baseball, softball too. And they had a big impact on him and his mentality. I know Roger Clemens has been on record talking about his mother and grandmother, you know, having a lot to do with his mentality and intensity on the mound. So, you know, there's always a lot of talk about fathers and sons, but strong women, strong figures in a household. It doesn't have to be either gender, right? You're fulfilling a role model, showing someone how to go out there and play on the field, off the field. And it's been fun. And I've known Maybelle Blair for quite some time. She was in the original women's league. She was in a league of their own back then. She's 99 years old. This has been a dream of hers for so long. And I'm super happy for her to kind of see it come to fruition. My buddy Keith Falk is managing one
I
of the
was just going to
teams.
say, yeah, Boston Hunters. Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent him, you know, my Photoshop skills. I Photoshopped a picture of Tom Hanks from A League of Their Own the other day with Keith's face. And I just sent it to him randomly. He's like, hey, man, good luck this season. Just wanted to send this over to you. So, and he got a chuckle out of that. He's excited, you know, good baseball guy. And he's been doing women's fantasy camp for the Red Sox for quite some time. So he's going to be great out there.
That's awesome. And I was thinking about Maybelle Blair and your photoshopping skills. You also do skits from time to time on Nesson that appear on all platforms. And Maybelle was kind enough to appear in one of your skits. So she's not only talented on the baseball field, but she can act.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's somewhere out there on the internet, it's basically me and Devin Marrero. We're doing a pregame show. He comes into the hallway and stubs his toe in a trash can, and he's about to cry. And lo and behold, we see Maybelle Blair coming down the hallway at a distance. And I look at him, I say, dude, you better get it together. You do not cry in this moment. Finally, she gets up on us and says, you're not crying, are you? And I leave. I get out of there. She says, you know there's not crying in broadcasting, gives him a hard time, shakes her head, and walks off into the distance. And he's kind of wiping up tears like this. So Devin was a great sport. She was an awesome sport. I asked her to come to Nesson and be a part of that. And she came by and was just so incredible that day. Great actor and just a great advocate for women's sports. She's been doing it for so long, and we love her.
Yeah, great to see her and at Polar Park from time to time as well. And also, speaking of Polar Park and Hadlock Field, they had Emma Tiedemann, Sea Dogs broadcaster, in the booth last night with Alana Rizzo, the women's celebration game at Fenway. I mentioned Nicole Menner, all the incredibly talented women who work in front of the camera and behind the scenes at Nesson. Just crushed it last night. It was awesome to watch. And I think Alana Rizzo had the stat of the night. I think this was the third women's celebration game, and the Red Sox are a perfect 3-0. Can't beat that.
That's right. There you go. And unfortunately, I did not watch the broadcast. I would have. The only reason why I didn't watch it is because I was at the game. I got a chance to see the game with my family live. Yeah. So I did see them kind of in action from a distance, but I didn't get to watch the broadcast. But 3-0 in a day with analytics and stats, the numbers do not lie. So good job to all the women out there that did an outstanding job broadcasting this game. Yeah, good for them.
More thoughts. 3:10 to left on the other side.
3:10 to left is presented by your New England Ford dealers who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 3:10 to left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
How about Jeffrey Yan of the Mets in his first professional strikeout against the Guardians? If you've seen video of this guy before, you know he does this. Lenny, first of all, great vertical. Second question, though. Have you ever done anything quite like that on the mound?
Yeah, every time Vladdy Sr. hit a ball, that's basically how high I would jump off the ground to get away from the line drive coming at me. But other than that, I was not jumping around every time I struck somebody out. So,
yeah. And that's sort of subdued compared to some of the video that I saw on YouTube, just sort of looking around, finding this guy. But I mean, again, it's a different game, man. Like, it's a different game. That wouldn't fly back in the day. That would cause some trouble.
yeah, I mean, that's something. I mean, when I played, if a guy were to do that, you're going to get one of your teammates drilled. Plain and simple. You're showing somebody up. It is a different ball game. Maybe people are going to take it lightheartedly. I don't know. It's hard to say. But my initial thoughts were, come on, man, act like you've done this before. You didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night, get a home run or a strikeout. Now you got to jump around like that. We get it. You're happy. But it's a little tired. It's a little played out. Maybe worked in the minor leagues just to get people to clap every now and then. But at the big leagues, I don't know if your veterans in your clubhouse are going to let you put up with that much longer, let alone the other team.
That's what I was going to say. It's not just the other team. It's the guys in your own clubhouse, right? Can you imagine you doing that with the pitching staff that you had back in the day? You wouldn't be with us.
Listen, when I was a rookie, if my head poked above the seat on the bus on the way to the airport, I got a talking to. If I sat on the couch and grabbed the remote control, then I got a talking to. Right? It was our job to basically be quiet and pitch and fill the gum bag with sunflower seeds and candy and stuff and bring it down to the bullpen. Don't say anything. God forbid if I were to do that on the mound, it would have been the shortest tenure ever done. After one strike, I would have been out of here. So yeah. But again, it speaks. This is the game we play these days. It is what it is. Let the kids play, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Speaking of letting the kids play, Red Sox playing tonight. The lineup's out, Lenny. No Wilson Contreras in the lineup. He left last night's game due to illness. So you got Nick Sogard, who's going to be playing first base. He's going to be leading off. So again, hopefully, nothing that'll keep him on the shelf for too long. But an opportunity to sweep another team, and not just another team, another first place team. It's just crazy that the Red Sox are in this situation right now. You got Ranger Suarez on the mound.
Yeah. I mean, first, Wilson Contreras. I mean, we found throughout this year the only way you can get him out of the lineup and give him a little bit of rest is if he's on concussion protocols or he's got 102-degree temperature or whatever he's had. He's not feeling good. I don't know if it's flu-like symptoms or what. He feels sick. That's the only way you can legitimately take him out of the lineup without, him wanting to fight you. And I love that about him. He's the type of guy that wants to be in there helping this club all the time. But yeah, next man up. that's the next thing you got to say. Next man up, go out there and win a ball game and win it for Wilson. He's not feeling good. I'm sure he'll be back as soon as he's up and willing and able. But yeah, they've been playing outstanding against not only the bad teams but the playoff caliber teams. And 2 more series after they whatever they do tonight, they've already won the series. If they can win 2 more consecutive series, they're tying a record set 19-12 as far as 11 consecutive series won. So they're on a roll right now, and this has been fun to watch.
Yeah, you got the A's, so it'll be a battle of the Fighting Lenny DiNardos. And then you got the Blue Jays on the road and the Pirates after that. So that's the road ahead for the Red Sox. But first things first, looking to sweep aside the White Sox tonight at Fenway Park. Hey, Lenny, it was a good time, man. Good seeing you again.
Good seeing you. Looking forward to working with you again.
Absolutely. We'll be back on the desk soon as we wrap up 310 to Left, brought to you by New England Ford Dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 49 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. We'll see you next time.